In this video, I'm attempting to make a hollow body concrete guitar.
To me, it feels like it's gonna crack immediately.
Now the moment of truth.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen other folks make concrete guitars in the past, but I've dug around the internet, and as far as I can tell, no one has ever made an ES335 style guitar with F-holes from concrete. So I think this is gonna be a world's first. My plan is to make this guitar with 3/8 inch thick walls, which is really thin for concrete. And to add pressure to this, I'm making this guitar for a fellow Chicago YouTuber, Rob Scallon. He has one of the largest guitar YouTube channels with over 2.5 million subscribers. Rob is gonna write a song specifically to play on this guitar. So the pressure is on not just to make this a guitar that you can get some sound out of, but to actually make it a really good playable guitar. I think I can pull it off, but there's only one way to know, so let's get to work. The first thing we gotta do is build the mold for the concrete. And this mold is gonna be much trickier to make than the molds for those solid body concrete guitars, where they pretty much just took a wood guitar body, dumped a bunch of silicone around it to create a silicone mold. This will not work for a hollow body concrete guitar because it has holes in it. And if you tried to do that, you just end up with a guitar filled with silicone rather than a mold. So I'm actually gonna build 2 molds from scratch out of melamine, foam, and 3D printed parts. And we'll use these 2 molds to cast 2 halves to the guitar that can then be epoxied together to create a hollow body. First up, I'm making the 2 melamine base sheets for the forms on the X-Carve CNC. And rather than just use a flat base, I'm actually cutting cavities that are gonna allow me to perfectly place the knockouts for the bridge and neck pocket and other components in the guitar. Perfect alignment is especially important here because unlike a wood guitar body where you can correct mistakes later on in the process, once we pull the concrete body out of the form, its shape is pretty much set in stone. Next up, we're staying on the X-Carve to cut out the foam parts of the forms, starting with the 2 large knockouts that are gonna create the hollow sections with the F-holes on either side of the guitar body. And just in case some of you are confused about these knockouts I'm talking about, it has nothing to do with boxing or UFC. In a concrete form, a knockout is any structure that's added to the form that you remove once the concrete is cured to leave a specific shaped void or cavity in the resulting concrete. You might notice there are F-hole shaped cavities in those 2 large knockouts, and I will explain the reasons for those later on. Back to the task at hand, what you see here is cutting the outer walls for both halves of the form. And I hadn't used the X-Carve in quite a while and totally forgot how it actually kind of plays music while it's carving things out. Take a listen. Total nerd moment, but I find it cool that our tool is playing music while we're making a musical instrument. So we got the base of the form made from melamine. We got the side walls printed out of this pink insulation foam. And we got these knockouts that are gonna sit raised up to make the hollow part of the semi-hollow body for the guitar. Next step is making the knockout for the F-holes and the neck pocket. And I'm gonna head up a computer to design these and then 3D print them out. So we got the 3D printed neck pocket here. Fits nicely in the little slot. We got these F-holes. So the F-holes fit right into those and are gonna hold them at exactly 3/8 inch above the surface. And that'll create the top of the guitar here. It's gonna be exactly 3/8 inch. So I also made this knockout for the back plate. It's gonna just sit in the form for the back, which is also 3/8 inches thick. And you'll notice these little bumps. Those are gonna create little holes for magnets so that we can have a magnetic back plate. So before we get out the silicone to put all these parts for the form together, there's one other thing I'm gonna do, which is a little different. So these are where the posts for the bridge of the guitar go in. So what I'm gonna do now is just adding some dowels to these holes so they'll be embedded in the concrete already when we demold it. And before adding the dowels, I coated them in a layer of paste wax so they don't absorb water from the concrete and swell up during the concrete pour. I then pre-drilled the holes for the screws using a little 3D printed drill guide. I can then screw through from the backside to attach them from the form, and that way they'll be held in the right place. I can just unscrew these from the back, and then they will just stay in the concrete when I remove the concrete from the form. You always gotta be thinking ahead to that removal process when you're doing kind of complicated concrete forms like this. And with that, it is time to put the rest of the form together. Those that follow the channel closely know what that means. That's right, it's time for another episode of Caulk Talk, which is the same as every episode of Caulk Talk. I apply a layer of paste wax to the melting, lay down a generous layer of 100% silicone caulk, run a metal fondant ball tool over all the caulk lines. Metal fondant ball tool pushes excess caulk to the sides, leaves a clean line over the seam, and the layer of paste wax makes it easy to peel the excess caulk away once it cures, leaving a perfect caulk line. And that's it for this episode of Caulk Talk. So we got the forms done, but just realized we've got a little issue. We're gonna have to redo part of it for the pickup cavity. All right, I had to change locations really quickly because I got electricians here that are working while I'm working, so we're just playing musical shop to make room for where they need to go. But at any rate, to explain the changes I need to make to the form, I've actually got a sample concrete guitar body. I made this one out of blue, just kind of threw the form quickly together, knowing it probably wasn't gonna work, and then I could just use it as a test because I'm such a visual hands-on learner. I knew this would be a big help to find problems, which it did. So while I was waiting for the silicone to cure, I decided to try to drill the holes for the pickup mount, and I realized that they were just really close to the edge of the concrete here. And as you can see here, some of the holes blew out. So I think I need to change the way I'm gonna do the pickup cavity. I'm gonna pull the foam pickup cavity knockout out of the form, and we're still gonna use it, but what I'm gonna do is carve out a wood block that's gonna enclose that pickup cavity knockout. There'll be kind of like a ledge or tabs that will extend under the top of the concrete in that wood block. With this configuration, we can put that foam knockout inside the wood block knockout, put the whole thing inside the form. Then after we remove the concrete from the form, we can take the foam out, leaving that wood block in the concrete so that we have wood that we can drill into to attach the pickup mount. And if all goes according to plan, that wood block is sized so that it will be completely hidden by the pickup mount. So you won't even see it when you're looking at the guitar. I also decided it would be a good idea to add a little wood bridge spanning between the wood dowels that are going to hold the guitars. Guitar strings can pull a bridge up and out of the guitar body with quite a bit of force. So having this piece of wood embedded under the concrete between the dowels will ensure the strings don't pull the bridge and the wood dowels holding it out of the guitar body. While revising the design of the form, I decided to redo the neck pocket knockout as well, by adding 3D printed posts that I'll super glue into the neck pocket knockout to create spaces for the neck frills and screws so I don't have to drill into the cured concrete to create these holes later.
What? Did you get in your eye? Mike's got super glue in his eye. Not good.
Wow, that was something I never
Did you get it?
I don't know. My eye closed really fast. It's definitely.
I think my contact.
Show me. Oh, that would
Wow.
have been really bad.
Holy crap! I got so lucky. So far, no pain. I guess we just wait and see. But I got to keep get like hot, like warm water and start flushing my eyes. So we'll be back. We're back. I think I dodged a bullet. I feel pretty much better. So I 100% will be wearing safety glasses whenever I'm using super glue from now on, because never would have thought I even needed safety glasses in that scenario, but apparently I did. Anyway, back to it. We're gonna get to the rest of the form. So the last thing we gotta do for the form, or I think the last thing, I've said that a few times, but for these things, we're gonna put those in the middle of the pour, and we don't want them to float up. So we're gonna screw these into the side of the form, pre-drill these so that during the pour, we can just boom, 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 put those in, and they'll hold everything in place while the concrete cures. So we got this glass fiber scrim we're gonna be putting in the concrete, and that's gonna give it strength, keep it from cracking. We just gotta trace out the shape we need to cut and cut that out with some scissors. That looks pretty good. Boom. I think we got everything laid out for the concrete pour today, and I am super excited because somebody that I watched on YouTube before I ever even did YouTube is coming over. Rob Scallon in the house. He's getting suited up because he wore his nice shoes to a concrete pour. Hopefully the pour goes smoothly because I want Rob to think I know what I'm doing. So yeah, let's make some concrete. This is the point where we get to the secret sauce that's actually going to allow us to make the super thin 3/8" walls. To achieve this, we can't use any old big box store concrete. You need an ultra high performance concrete like Fishtone's Ultracast that I'm using here. And I'm also doing something a little different and just using PVA fibers instead of glass fibers like I typically do. And these PVA fibers will give us a little strength, not as much as glass fibers. But the main reason to use PVA fibers here is those PVA fibers just don't really show on the surface of the concrete. Whereas in a mix with glass fibers, if you don't do a face coat, those fibers are really visible on the surface. Get that long, yeah. And maybe touch more and then spread that out. I wouldn't do any more.
But no more, okay.
It'll spread more than you think.
How's it feel, Rob? Goopy.
It's kind of satisfying, right? You shake it and just do like this. So after giving the forms a good shake to level the concrete, I came back with the glass fiber mesh that we'd cut earlier, placed that into the concrete mix, and that's what's going to give it the most strength. But the mesh won't show through at the surface like loose glass fibers could.
Can I give it a try?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Find it. Yeah, it's kind of satisfying when you find the hole.
That's what she said.
There we go.
With those large foam knockouts in place to create the hollow body, we attach the wood cauls that are going to hold those foam pieces in place so they don't float up to the top of the concrete. Then all he had to do is fill in the rest of the form with the concrete mix, which was a sloppy but pretty fun job. And just in case you were worried about whether Rob and I were having fun during this process because I've been doing this voiceover, well, I'll let this clip speak for itself.
What tuning is a concrete guitar in? Drop C.
Well, there you go. Yep, that is low. Before we go further, I want to take a quick minute to talk to you guys about underwear. Yeah, that's right. Underwear, socks, and premium basics from this video's amazing sponsor, Bombas. Bombas is a premium basics brand with a mission to help those in need. For every item you buy from Bombas, they donate one. That's right, 1 for 1. During their nearly 10 years in business, Bombas has donated over 150 million items to people in need. So they're doing good in the world, great. The next question is their clothing any good? I've tried their boxer briefs, their socks, and this Pima cotton shirt, and I can tell you that it's all super high quality, really beefy and durable materials that are also super soft to the touch. They've got quality socks designed for every activity, whether you're running, on the job site, or just hitting the town. And as far as styles, they've got you covered whether you're a boomer, Gen X, millennial, or Gen Z. So if you wear socks, underwear, or shirts, which is, pretty much everyone, I highly recommend you check out Bombas. With their 100% happiness guarantee, you've got nothing to lose. And some late breaking news for international viewers, Bombas now offers international shipping to over 200 countries outside the US. Right now, new customers can get 20% off their first purchase at bombas.com/Medustrial or via the link in the description when you use the code Medustrial at checkout. So what are you waiting for? Feel good and do good with Bombas, knowing your purchase is going to do some real good in the world. Plus, when you buy via bombas.com/Medustrial, you're also supporting the free content you're enjoying here. Thanks to Bombas for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to it. Rob just got here, and I promised him it's not going to go bad. What do you think the odds are?
To me, it feels like it's gonna crack immediately.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm talking
All right. Well, at least we have low expectations because those are easy to meet and exceed. So let's see what happens. First, we're going to kind of drill these out.
Oh, okay.
I'm making you work here, but
There's an easier way.
we'll use acetone to dissolve it, which is wild to watch.
Whoa. Cool.
A little easier if you can get most of it see like that. We're going to have to like kind of...
Wow.
Yeah, it's like...
Beauty. Yeah. There we go. All right. Nice.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
That came pretty nice. Here we go. Our back plate.
Oh, wow.
That's the
That
cream
was
layer.
really good.
Just leave that. There you go.
All right.
There we go.
There it is.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's
That'll
great.
clean up nicely.
Wow.
You know, which technically is do open sea.
Woo!
Nice.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
All right, now the moment of truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta line it up perfectly and it should just go, oh yeah, it looks like it's gonna go to where you're at. Still needs a little
Yeah.
but
Check that out.
you should do it. You think it's gonna play?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's gonna play. And I'm curious what it's gonna sound like acoustically. If the hollow body concrete will actually amplify, I'm not really sure. But maybe it will. I don't know. All right, sweet.
I go for the fist bump. They're good both. So Rob and Jake just took off and I've got the mess of demolding. So one other thing here, and this is something that's just my fault, got a little excited in the moment. We went ahead and we put the neck in. And I knew right when this came out of the form that the sort of crema layer that's on top of the concrete, it is soft, and I just didn't stop and think for a second, because when we put the neck in, kind of pulled some chunks of the top layer away. Rob said he kind of liked the fact that having a couple chunks missing from the concrete makes it look more like concrete. So maybe it's kind of cool. I got to decide whether I want to do a slurry coat and just kind of patch that in with some fresh concrete or not. But first, I'm going to go ahead and get the whole thing sanded down, see what this looks like after we sand it down. That might help dictate what we decide to do. The next step here is the post-processing, which is one of the more labor-intensive steps, mostly because there's a lot of little nooks and crannies and they need to be sanded down and polished, and also because my shop is under construction, which is why those of you who follow have noticed that it looks nothing like it normally does. And because of that, I wasn't able to set up a good space to wet grind it because that just slings concrete mud everywhere. So I just had to do it by hand, and it was probably a good 6 or 7 hours of sanding, which was tough, but well, pretty good workout. All right, so I'm about halfway through sanding down everything. And at this point, I want to go ahead and drill the holes for the parts that we need to attach to the guitar and test fit all the components just to make sure that it's, well, that it's actually going to fit. After drilling the hole for the pickup wiring, it was time to install the pickup mount. And if you recall, this is where I embedded that wood block in the concrete, which I hoped would make the process go smoothly. But there was a thin layer of concrete that had seeped under the edge of the wood block, and thus was on top of the wood block here. Fortunately, when I used the center punch, it just chipped that little layer right off, and the wood was completely covered by the pickup mount, so everything ended up looking super clean. So even though it took a bit extra work to do that quick blue concrete version of the guitar initially, it allowed me to actually catch some issues like this one ahead of time, which is rare. So that was kind of nice. Next up, it's the neck hardware, and can we take a second here and just look at the fit of that neck and the neck pocket? I mean, I could pick the whole guitar up without any screws or anything, just on the pressure fit of the neck, and as you're probably guessing, it is not the lightest guitar to pick up that way. And again here, the modifications I made in the second iteration of the form made the assembly much easier. The ferrules and neck screws dropped perfectly through those little holes, so I could just use the screws themselves to mark the locations to drill on the back of the neck, take the neck out of the body, and drill the holes for the screws. Beautiful. At this point, I paused the component installation because Rob wanted to come over to help seal the concrete, and that was just how our schedules worked out. And while we're doing that, I want to mention that Rob and I are talking about doing a whole series of cool, unique guitar builds together. We've got a ton of ideas, maybe a 3D printed guitar. If this video does really well, maybe we'll do an art shop version of the hollow body concrete guitar. So if you're enjoying this collaboration and want to see Rob and I do more together, feed that algorithm, leave a comment and let us know. Oh, and for those that are watching really close and are wondering why I applied finish before I finished the whole sanding process, I actually did finish the sanding. I just did that off camera before Rob got here. After applying 4 coats of sealer and letting that cure for a couple days, I got back to the installation of the electronics and hardware. All right, so I've got the volume and tone knobs here, and I'm realizing now that this post is just barely taller than the body is thick, and I got to get a little nut on this to secure it on top. So I've got this burr grinder. We're going to give that a go, grind down the bottom of the concrete here a little bit where I'm going to put these knobs. I'm using some 4-minute epoxy to secure maple dowels at the attachment points for the strap buttons. And I thought about embedding these dowels in the concrete during the pour, but because the strap button locations don't have to be as precise as the bridge or pickup mount, I figured it would be pretty simple to do this after the fact. And this thinking was either going to be insightful if it worked well or lazy if something went wrong. But fortunately, the install went pretty smoothly. Next up, I superglued some magnets around the access hole in the back of the guitar so we can have a magnetically attached access panel. Then I superglued some washers to the back of the 3D printed access panel so everything would go together nicely. And I wasn't sure about how the 3D printed panel would look, but overall I think it looks pretty clean. So the next step here is to drill the holes for the fence posts that are going to hold the bridge in place right here. The bridge placement is probably the most important thing to getting the sound of the guitar right. It has to be lined up perfectly with the neck so that the strings are straight across the fretboard and go over the pickups correctly. I'm going to go ahead and make a template that allows me to use the pickup pocket and the neck pocket to serve as a guide to drill them in exactly the right spot so that hopefully everything will fit together nicely. As you can see, my shop is torn down right now. I don't have my drill press, so I'm going to be using this handy ROCKLER hand drill press that will hopefully get us all lined up straight. It's a little bit of work because you got to clamp this down, but it should do the trick. The portable drill press worked great, but I quickly discovered another problem. I made this template according to the manufacturer specifications with 3¼ inches between the centers of the posts. Guess what? It doesn't actually fit. You can see right here, it's not even going on all the way. The center is actually slightly less than 3¼ inches. This meant I couldn't use my template to locate the second hole, and while I figured out a solution, I went ahead and installed the bridge post in the first hole. One in, and in the theme of musical instruments, you get 2 of these dead blow hammers from ROCKLER. You also got a pair of maracas. Locating the second hole didn't turn out to be too bad. I just put the bridge on the post that was installed and then used the bridge itself to locate the hole for the second post. And for belts and suspenders, I threw together a little makeshift template to make sure the 2 posts were spaced properly. In case we have to pull that out. Oh, that's gonna fit. It's gonna fit. Next up, it was time to install the electronics, so I rolled out my brand spanking new, never to be seen this clean again, ROCKLER silicone mat. First up were the input jack and volume and tone pots, and I was happy to see that the little recesses I carved into the back allowed enough of the thread to extend through to get the nut on securely. Next, I screwed the pickup mounting plate with the pickup into the embedded wood block, and then it was time for the wiring, which I was a little less confident about. And this is where I just did my best to kind of follow the various wiring diagrams I got online, and it's honestly kind of embarrassing that I have an electrical engineering degree, but kind of suck at practical electronics work. In reality, the coursework in my computer and electrical engineering classes doesn't really teach you much for this type of analog electronics, but I still feel like I should be better at it. So the one thing I totally forgot to account for was the grounding wire between the volume knob and the bridge. Since the bridge is mounted on the other side of the concrete body, I wasn't quite sure what to do, but fortunately there was just a thin layer of concrete to drill through and get to the wood posts I used to attach the bridge, so I could drill a hole from the back of the guitar to the inside of the bridge insert, thread a wire through there, and solder it to the bottom of one of the bridge posts. At this point, I realized I also forgot copper shielding in the pickup cavity to isolate the pickup from outside electromagnetic fields. I'm not really sure how necessary it is with the concrete body, but I figured it couldn't hurt. So I removed the pickup, added copper tape, and reinstalled it. With the electronics done, I installed the neck and tuners, but as you might have noticed, I haven't attached the back plate. That concrete back plate is going to be permanently epoxied on, so I wanted to get a string on and do a quick sound test before the back goes on, figuring that in the likely event I screwed up something with the electronics, it would be much easier to fix with the back fully open. I'm getting sound when I put a string in, but I'm getting a lot of feedback and noise. So sometimes you got to know when to ask for help, and this is one of them. So I'm going to take it into a local guitar repair shop and just ask for some of their advice, see if they can help me get this thing sounding as good as possible. I'm confident we can get the noise down if I can figure out what I did wrong with the wiring or improve the wiring. Also very curious just to see what they think. So I'm over here at Third Coast Guitars. They were super helpful. We got it all fixed up in like 10, 15 minutes. They didn't charge me, which is amazing, even though I tried to pay them. So the least I could do is shout them out. They took it in, looked at it, and we got it all fixed up. So basically it just turned out the diagram that came with the input jack was wrong. And I had everything wired backwards, so it wasn't grounded, and that was the buzz. Resoldered 2 wires and good to go. That's way better. So we're gonna take it back to the shop, get that back epoxied on, and then the guitar will be done. So I lied a little bit. There's one more thing aesthetically I want to do. Because the folks over at Schecter Guitars who sponsor Rob and has his signature model were kind enough to send over this headstock to us. And it's a cool headstock, but the wood grain I don't think kind of matches the rest of the guitar. I kind of want something more industrial and gritty. So I'm going to do something more basic with a paint job on the headstock. We're going to get this thing apart, get the headstock painted. Then we'll come back and finally get to epoxying the back of it on. So if you guys know me, you know I love matte black, and matte black seemed like the perfect color to go with the concrete body and the rest of the neck, which is a stained black maple. And as one more little custom touch, I 3D printed a Cretecaster logo. And I know some of you guys are gonna comment that this doesn't look like a Telecaster or a Stratocaster, but Cretecaster just had a ring to it, so why not? So now the time has come. It's time to use the concrete epoxy and put the 2 halves of the body together. Eye protection and respirator, because I learned my lesson from earlier. Got everything disassembled here, ready for Rob. I am very excited and a little bit nervous to see what he thinks of the Cretecaster. Sir, what's going on? Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
I'm gonna put you in like a holding bin right here, get everything set up,
Okay,
and
awesome.
then we can show you what we're working with. All right.
A few moments later.
All right, Rob, come on over. We got everything set up here.
All right, dude.
So this is what we're working with.
Oh, what does that say?
Cretecaster.
Cretecaster, of course. Do not drop
Do
this.
not drop it.
Do
Actually,
not.
it would survive better than you think if you
Think
dropped
so?
it. It might chip, but it wouldn't crack. Yeah, we should grab the scale and weigh it too.
I haven't.
Okay, throw her
What
on
are we
there.
looking at?
19.8.
Under 20.
Yeah, I actually did not think it was going to do that. 19.8 pounds. All right.
Now is it just a matter of
You
bolting
gotta
that in?
come straight down because it is like the pocket is. So we're gonna. So that looks pretty good, right? I don't know what it is. But
I mean, look at
when the
this.
strings come on, it like gets so it so comes together that this is like a musical instrument that hopefully is going to actually make sound. I'm nervous.
Can I pick it up? Sounds like a guitar.
Dude, that sounds amazing. That's so cool when you see someone who's really good play on something you created. Like that is just so, I love it.
So you play something.
Crank it all the way.
Crank all the way. Yeah. Crank the gain all the way here. Yeah.
I'm just so happy this all
Me
worked.
too.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, this
Like,
has been awesome.
so
I'm
much fun.
excited to use it.
Yeah. So if you're wondering where there is a proper sound test so you can hear what this thing actually sounds like, you're gonna wanna head over to Rob's channel and check out his video because he wrote a song and played all the parts entirely on this guitar. There's a link to his channel in the description. And if you like this collaboration, make sure you sub and bell to both of us because we've got some more wild guitar ideas planned for the future. Much love to all of you who've stuck around to the end of this video. That's it for this time, and I'll see you guys next time.